Welcome to the next video of Board Game Archaeology. In this game I've literally dug out of the loft. This is the 1991 version of Axis and Allies. It was originally made by Milton Bradley in 1984. This is the second edition, produced a few years later. As you can see, it's a Second World War game. It was the first of all the modern Axis and Allies games that are currently on the market. Very different ones, spanning all the different parts of the Second World War. This one goes from 1942 through to 1945. The board, as you can see, is a full colour board. It has the Axis, Germany, Japan and the Allies, Britain, USSR and America. It's broken into the different colours of the different units, so brown is Russia, grey is Germany, lighter brown is Britain, green is America and yellow is Japan. You also have here on the side the national production. This shows you how many IPCs or International Production Certificates each country gets at the end of their turn. So we start off, Russia has 24, Japan has 25, the UK has 30, Germany has 32, the USA has 36. Now, each turn is taken by each player controlling a country or a particular side, the Axis or the Allies. And the sequence goes USSR, Germany, Britain, Japan, then America, and that's one full turn. And in that turn you can attack, you can build new units, you can try to improve your weapons development here on the International Production Certificates here. And that's basically an overview of the game. This video is basically going to show you some of the rules and hopefully take you through a game. Now you can see that Germany and Japan have got quite a lot of armies, so early on in their game they're going to be wanting to be very forthright with their attacks and get as much territory off the Allies as possible by crippling their economic power. And as you can see, the Allies don't have so many armies and navies scattered across the board, so they're going to have to wait in defence for a couple of turns really before their economic power can push the game, hopefully, and tip into their balance. Now, I played the crap out of this game when I was a kid. Played it solo and also with friends. Today I'm going to play it solo, so what I'm going to do is take each turn for the best, or I'll take each turn as the best that I can for each country that I'm playing. So without further ado, let's begin. Just to mention that I'm playing a couple of rules here straight out of the book. In the first one, the USSR are not allowed to attack in their first turn, and also battleships will only take one hit. Later on, in later rules, they're given 2 hits before they're sunk. Here we're only taking 1 hit, so they're a lot more fragile than later. So first of all, this is the units that we can buy with our spending power, which in this case it's USSR. So we have 24 IPCs. We have some infantry, some bombers, aircraft carriers, battleships, transports, fighter planes, submarines and armour. These are also the control tokens as we control enemy areas. Now, as I said, in this first sequence, in this first turn, should I say, the USSR can't attack. So all we can do really is defend. So I'm thinking about that in the future. I've got 24 IPCs to spend, and I'm going to spend this on infantry. Each infantry costs 3 IPCs. So with my 24, I'll put straight into the bank and buy 7. So I do apologise, I'll buy 8. Now I don't have enough figures there, so what I'm going to do is use these small tokens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and that shows that there are 7 infantry when it has an infantry stacked on top of it. Now these don't come into the game until the end of the turn, so I'm going to just place those there just for now. And as I said, the USSR can't attack, so this is going to be some defensive moving. So what I will do, infantry can move 1 square per turn. They'll move into there. These ones will move into the Caucasus from Russia. I'm not too worried at this point because I know that Russia is going to get filled back up anyway with infantry. I will also move in a tank into both the Caucasus and Karelia SSR. You can see here that these are production centres because they have the factory pieces on them, and this is where you will produce your new units at the end of the turn. I've also got a fighter here in Russia. I'm going to move that into the Caucasus. So now we've got a very heavy defensive block both in Karelia SSR and the Caucasus against any German attack, which inevitably is going to happen. Out in the east, I'm going to move 1 unit from here into there, and then in here I'll move these 2. So now we have 4 defending units here and 4 defending units in Yakut SSR and in the Soviet Far East. So that's kind of shored up our defences, because I can't really do much more with Soviet Russia this term. However, it now comes on to the non-combat movements, which we don't have any this turn for the Soviets because they've already done their movements. So I will now place my new units. You can place units anywhere there is an industrial complex. If you capture an enemy one, you can start placing units there the turn after you've captured it. So in this case, Russia can either place some units in Karelia or in Russia itself. So I'm going to do both of that. I'm going to put 5 infantry into Russia, and I will put the other 3 up here in Karelia. That gives me the option later on of being able to move forces to the east if I need to, and also shoring up defences. So that ends Russia's turn. So we check the national production. Russia is still on 24, hasn't captured anything new, so basically it gets its 24 back. There we are, 24. And now we move on to Germany. Now Germany begins with 32 IPCs. So again, we're thinking really about attacking with Germany, also being able to shore up our defences after attacking. So what I'm thinking of doing here is I'm going to buy 10 infantry. So again, we don't have enough infantry pieces, but we certainly have enough stacks. 7, 8, 9. So that's 10 German infantry. That costs 30. So they've still got 2 left over, which will carry into a next turn. Now, in Germany's turn, we're going to want to attack. So, our first attack is going to be a blitz move, and I'm going to capture French Equatorial Africa. Tanks can move 2 spaces. The first one, if it's unoccupied, they can move straight through and capture it. The little black number on there tells us how many IPCs this territory is worth. French Equatorial Africa is worth 1, so Germany goes up 1. Britain, its controller, goes down 1. This tank can then move. I could either move into the Belgian Congo and capture another place, or I want to attack Anglo-Egypt Sudan. A tank on its own is not going to do much damage, so I'm going to move in an infantry unit as well. I'm also going to attack into French West Africa, so this is capturing as much territory as quickly as possible. So that's another 1. The British have gone down 1. We've also got the threat from the British Navy as well, which I need to eliminate. So what I'm going to do is attack with submarines here into the British North Sea. I'm also going to send in that submarine as well. I'll leave the transport there. I'll talk about transports in a second. So I've now sent in 2 submarines against the British battleship and the British transport. That might be quite an even match. And I will also send in this battleship to have a go against the British battleship on the edge of Gibraltar. Now, as for land battles, most of my efforts here are going to be concentrated against the USSR, I think, and I'm going to go for everything I can. So I'm going to push these tanks in here. I need to smash Russia in this first instance as quickly as possible. I'm also sending in fighters. I've got more fighters here that I can send in, which I will. I'll send in these tanks up here, this fighter here. I'll also send in these 3 men here. I have another tank in Southern Europe that can come through and up. Don't worry, I'm going to sort out all this mess in a second. Another one from Germany, a second one from Germany. I mean, this is going to clear out a lot of German space here, but I'm going to fill it back up later on. So the 2 tanks from Western Europe will also come over into Eastern Europe. This is strictly a non-combat movement, but I'm just going to do it now so I don't forget. And I have another aircraft. 1, 2, 3. Now, aeroplanes have to be able to land. Fighters can move 4 spaces, bombers can move 6. This one has flown from Western Europe and has flown 1, 2, 3. It has to be able to land in a friendly space in the next turn. So it can do it, could land in Finland, Norway, Eastern Europe, or even Ukraine SSR. So it's pretty well covered, so I'm happy to shove that one in as well for a fight. I've also got a transport here which I can use to send up 2 more infantry from Germany. I'm just going to put that on there to show that that's the German army going in. Transports can bridge. They can carry 2 units of infantry or 1 tank or 1 anti-aircraft gun. They can move up to 2 spaces and then drop something off when they want, when they've reached their destination. So they're pretty good. In this case they're bridging, so he doesn't need to have to move. He can literally just step into the transport, step off as part of this attack. However, that's an amphibious attack, and it means that those 2 units have to fight to the death. They will not be able to retreat. An attacker can retreat at any time before they start their attack. However, we're going to see what happens with this. I've also got these aircraft here, so I'm going to send this in here. And what I'm going to do as well with the German bomber, I'm going to fly it out 1, 2, 3 over Britain. This is not actually going to attack, but what it's going to do is attack the British manufacturing. So that will be firing against the British national production level, and hopefully reducing their amount of IPCs that they can spend. See, I've also got this transport here. I'm just kind of waiting with that to see what happens with the other fighting. I thought I might send it in as cannon fodder with the battleship here, but I'm not going to. I'm going to leave it just where it is. So battles are played out on the attack board. So you've got your attacker here, and it shows you what they have. So what each of the different units are, and how much they roll or less on the dice. It's all d6s, and here's the defenders. So you place all your units onto these. Later on in the game I'll probably do some of the smaller battles off the board, but I'll just show you some of these now. So Germany here in Anglo-Egypt Sudan is attacking. So they've got a tank, that goes into 3 or less, and they've got an infantry, and that goes into 1 or less. The British have an infantry. He fights in the 2 or less, and their tank also fights in the 2 or less. So now we roll for the individual ones. So the tank, the German tank, 3 or less, that's a 4, so that doesn't score a hit. And the infantry on a 1, that doesn't score a hit. Now the 2 British ones roll together, 3 and a 4, that doesn't count. So here the attacker has the option of retreating or continuing the fight. In this case I'm going to continue the fight because there's no point really attacking without continuing. So we're starting with the infantry on a 1, no, and under a 3 for the tank, yes. So the British now chooses one of their casualties. So they're going to choose their infantry as a casualty. You'll see it just goes here in the casualty line because it still gets a chance to fire back in this battle before it's completely destroyed. So now the British fire back with 2, 3 and 3, that's still not. So we get rid of the British casualty. That goes into the British box. So the Germans again starting on a 1, no, and a 3, no. So the British fire back on 2, nope. The Germans start with a 1, no, and under a 3. So the 3 has killed the British tank. That then fires back under a 2. It's hit 1. So the Germans here will take off their infantry. So that goes back into their box. The British goes back into their box. And because there's still a German unit in the area, they win and capture Anglo-Egypt Sudan. And that's worth 2, so that's pretty good for them. So that took them up to 36, throws the British back down to 26. So that was quite a good attack. They've lost their infantry, but we're going to get some of those back later on. So that's basically how battles work. So let's go through the other ones. So here we have a British defender of a battleship on a 4 and a German attacker of a battleship on a 4 or less. These are the best ones in the game, apart from defending aircraft. So the German attacks under a 4, destroys the British battleship. That fires back on a 6, so that misses. So the German battleship survives that encounter. And as I said, in later games, and also other rules, that you can use battleships to take 2 hits rather than the 1. So that's good. That gives Germany the control of the Mediterranean. Now we come to the attack on the North Sea. So what we have is 2 submarines. Submarines attack differently to other vehicles and other bits and other units. So submarines will fire. If they hit, they automatically destroy their opponent. There's no firing back, so it's like a secret submarine attack. Transports are unable to attack, but they can defend on a 1, so they're not great. So what we do, we roll for the 2 German submarines. No, they miss, and then the transport fires back. No, that misses. The battleship fires back. That hits, so one of the German submarines is destroyed. The submarines can withdraw if they like. I think in this case I'm going to err on the side of caution and withdraw back to that's the Baltic Sea. So the British win that battle, but because there's nothing to be captured, no IPCs change on that one. So we're now going to go on to the industrial attack. So Britain is being attacked now by German bombers. Because they're not attacking a ground formation, the only ground formations, the only attack that the only defence that can go on is the anti-aircraft gun. This only fires on a 1. However, if it hits the bomber, then it is automatically destroyed. So we'll put these on here just to show. In this case, the bomber is not attacking on a 4 or less. I'll just put it there anyway. So the 1 or less for the anti-aircraft fire. It's hit, destroys the German bomber, so the German bomber can't continue its attack, and that's automatic. That happens with every aircraft. Speaking of which, we have the big attack here. So let's get all these off the table so we can actually see what's happening. This is the German push on Leningrad. Will they change history and be able to capture it this time? They're certainly putting a lot into this. The good thing about this is if Germany does capture this area, then they will be outflanking Russia itself, which is quite a good position to be in. And Russia will then be heavily damaged. So it's a risk worth taking, I think, in this first game. The Axis really have to be very, very brutal in their first opening moves. They've got to capture as much as possible and destroy as much material that the Allies hold within the first couple of moves. So all these aircraft here, we've got quite a lot, 5 5 fighters. Yes, just a note actually, the game ends either when the Axis capture either 2 of the Allied home areas, so Western US, United Kingdom or Russia, or if they, between them, Germany and Japan are able to pull in 84 IPCs per turn at the end of the turn. That's the economic victory. The Allies win basically if they capture both Germany and Japan. So let's have a quick look at what we've got. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 infantry from the Germans, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tanks, 5 aircraft. The Russians have got the air defense gun, 2 tanks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 infantry and 1 fighter. So the air defense gun fires straight away against the German attacking aircraft, and there's 5 of them. He gets its roll straight off. Any ones are destroyed. Oh, that's bad. That's hit 3 German aircraft, so 3 of those are gone straight away. They can't take part in the attack, but that's the only firing that the AA gun does, so that goes straight back up onto the board. But that was a good hit, that, from Russia. This will make the Germans quake, I think, a little. So we've got now 8 German infantry, so I'm going to roll all these together. These need 1s, so almost as good as the Russian anti-aircraft. So 2 hits. The Russians will choose 2 infantry, move those there, and I'll just swap them around so I know that they're infantry and not tanks. Not that it really matters. And then we've also attacking with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 3s or less. So these all attack the same. This is the tanks and the aircraft. So this should prove pretty devastating, I would think. 1, 2, 3, it's 50-50 chance on every one of these dice. So that's 5 hits. So again, the Russians choose 5 to take off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't think they're going to last another round, but let's just see what happens with them this turn. So we have the Russian defense. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 rolls under a 2, so 5. So we get all that 10 dice. A 2 or less. Now this is not great, so that's only 2 hits on the Germans. So the Germans choose to lose 2 infantry. So that's the Russians' infantry and tanks done. Lost quite a lot there. And their 1 aircraft fires back under a 4. 5, that's a miss. So round 2, the Germans can again decide whether they want to continue the fight or retreat. I think at this point let's continue, just because we're almost smashed them out of the ground. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 infantry. We only need to score 4 hits to win this battle. So there we go. That's 1, 2 hits. The Russians choose an infantry and a tank because they're cheaper than the aircraft. And then we also have the 7, 8, 9 still under 4s. 6, 7, 8, 9. Under 3. 1, 2, 3. That is more than enough. So that's 6 hits there. So that destroys both of those. So the Russians fire back. 2 or less. 2 hits. So 2 German infantry again will take the hits, soak those up, and 1 from the aircraft, another hit. So the Germans lose 3. So the Russians put up a reasonable defence there, but ultimately they paid the price for defending the motherland, unfortunately. So we clear these off. The Germans have now captured Karelia SSR, so again we put down another marker here, and the Germans now shoot up to 39. The Russians drop down to 21. So we now place the German infantry and tanks back in Karelia SSR, and I said this is a pretty good position to be in because they're now outflanking Russia itself, which means their tanks in Eastern Europe can run all the way into Russia if they really want to. So it's not enough space for them. There's 2 German aircraft. These have to land somewhere, so I'm going to choose to land both of these in Finland, Norway, to shore up that flank there so it's not undefended. And then Germany then moves after all combat. Germany then moves on to their non-combat moves. So this is anything that hasn't moved already, as long as it's not moving into combat. So what haven't we moved so far? Well, we haven't moved the 2 infantry here in Germany itself, so I'm going to move these into Western Europe to protect against any possible attacks from the UK, which may come. I've also got these in Southern Europe, and I'm going to put these onto this transport and drop them into Libya to help shore up the attack in Africa. So that's the end of Germany's turn. I'm now going to just swap over one of these chits for an extra figure, so I can split this group of massive amounts of German infantry, and I'm going to put 4 of them in Southern Europe, so it's no longer empty, and the rest 6 up in Germany itself. So then Germany takes the 2 IPCs it started ended their turn with. They get 39, so I'll just swap one out. So they start their next turn with 41 IPCs. Pretty good, that. Alright, now we move on to Britain. Britain begins with 30 IPCs. The problem with Britain is it's quite scattered across the globe. You've got places like Australia and India, and Syria, Iraq and South Africa. The problem is here we can't really do a great deal with these because we have no industrial capacity to build anything down there. That might come later. I'm hoping that America is going to help in the east, so I'm probably going to concentrate more here on Germany, trying to knock Germany out of the war in the first instance, then turn on Japan. So for that reason, Britain is going to buy themselves, I think, if we buy a submarine, that's cost 8, so that'll help shore up the naval defences. It leaves us with 22. I don't want to buy any more battleships because they're very expensive and they only take 1 hit anyway. Submarines are pretty good for this. I'm going to buy 4 infantry for 12. And then that leaves me 10. So I will buy 2 tanks each for 5. So that's Britain's buying done. So we've got 2 tanks, 4 infantry and a submarine. Now Britain needs to get moving and doing something here. We've got the threat from the Japanese, we've also got the threat from Germany in Africa. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attack the German shipping in the Mediterranean. I will also use a transport in eastern Canada to move this tank and drop it into Algeria. So that instantly captures Algeria back, gives them 1 point back and drops Germany back down. I will also use the transport in the UK to bring in 2 infantry. I could have brought that tank in, but I'm going to use the infantry because they can soak up casualties, and they will also drop into Algeria. And I will bring down the British battleship. Now, if there was an enemy unit and I was doing an assault on them here, I'll be able to use a battleship to bombard that coastline, but there isn't, so I can't, but it's there to protect them because there's still a German battleship here. I've also got the aircraft, which I will now send in against the German fleet here in the Baltic, and I will send out a bomber to Germany itself to do some industrial damage if I can. So that's my attacks against Germany. Out in the east, I'm going to send this transport down to Australia to pick up these two infantry. I'm going to leave them there for now, and I'll pick them up later on. And I'm also going to move this man from South Africa up to Kenya, Rhodesia, to try to shore up the attacks up here, which hopefully will come later on. If I can cut off Germany's supply line into Africa, I can do pretty well there, I think. I'm going to hold a defensive stance against Japan, who I'm not going to attack anyway. So I kind of want to defend in this area, but really be a bit more aggressive over here. So we've landed. So I'm going to attack with the two aircraft here against the German Navy. Now, submarines can withdraw straight away because they can just basically go underwater. So in this case, this one is going to. So I'm going to put him to the side and get him out of the way. So the British attack only attacked against the transport. 2 under 3s. Nope. Transport fires back at the 1. No. 2 under 3s. Yep. Destroyed the transport. It fires back. No. So the submarine survives. The transport is sunk. That's quite helpful, at least. And then the 2 aircraft fly 2 spaces back to Britain. Over here we got the submarine against the transport, and again, if the submarine hits when it's attacking first time, it sinks the transport immediately. There's no return fire. It has done, so that's a 2. So it's destroyed, completely sunk the German Navy in the Mediterranean. So that's good. That stops any more Germans getting across to Africa in a hurry. And we've also got the bomber attack. So the anti-aircraft fire of a 1 has destroyed the bomber. Wow. The German flak towers are obviously very good. They're doing their job. So the British don't get an attack there. So that's the end of the British turn. Reasonable success. Sunk some German boats and what have you. Anyway, we now move on to the placement of the units. So the British get 4 infantry in Britain, put their submarine in the UK, and also 2 tanks. I'm going to have to start building transports at some point with Britain, because there's no way to get off the island otherwise. I'm getting a bit crowded there. So Britain is now getting 27 because they've lost land in North Africa. So that's the end of Britain's turn. So we move on. Next up is Japan of the Axis. Now Japan begins with 25. Again, Japan really needs transports, so I'm going to buy at least 1 transport. That costs 8. So there's the transport. I want infantry and tanks to help attack, so I'm going to buy 2 tanks, 1 tank, sorry, for 5, and then 4 infantry for 12. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So they might have a little Japan, but it certainly goes a long way. And again, as I said, Japan really needs to play an aggressive game in the start, just to make sure they can capture as much territory and destroy their enemies around them as much as possible. So this is what we're going to do straight away. I'm going to attack from Manchuria into Soviet Far East using 3 infantry and aircraft. I have another fighter here, goes 1, 2, 3, so they'll be able to land back in Manchuria. We'll also send the bomber in as well, just to make sure. And along with that, send up a transport with one single tank in. So that should overpower them quite easily. I'm going to also attack from Burma into India against the British. I'm going to use this transport here to bring these two men in as well into India to try to make sure we get that. Now the big threat as well obviously is America. It's currently a sleeping giant, so what I want to do really is smash it as much as possible before it actually gets into its industrial prowess. So we're going to send in the aircraft carrier. Now fighters can land on aircraft carriers, so there's already one on it, and I have another one here in the Philippines which would go 1, 2, 3. Oh, will we reach? It won't be able to reach because it needs to be able to land. Oh no, it can do, because that's 4 spaces away, and the 4th space allows it to land on the aircraft carrier. The aircraft carrier itself isn't a space, it's within that space, so it can actually get in there and land. I'm also going to send in the 2 Japanese battleships to make sure we win this fight. And you know, we've got Americans here in China and Xianqing, but I can fight against those later on. I'm happy to have that threat at the moment because it's going to be difficult for America to get anything across there anyway. So we'll start with a naval battle. So we have 2 Japanese battleships attacking on 4 or less. We have the aircraft carrier attacks on a 1 or less. It's terrible in the attack, but it allows you to use these 2 aircraft which attack on a 3 or less, so that's good. So we've got the submarine, the Americans, we've got their aircraft carrier defends on a 3 or less, and their fighter defends. So just looking at the board there's a good chance that Japan's going to win this. We'll probably take some heavy casualties, but at least we'll destroy most of the American Navy in one fell swoop. So we're going to start with the aircraft carrier on a 1. No, didn't expect that. 2 fighters under a 3. That's 2 hits. So the Japanese defenders take both of their ships, and then 2 battleships, they both destroyed the Japanese fighter. So complete wipeout there. The Navy American submarine fires back. That misses. The American aircraft carrier fires back on a 3. That misses. And the American fighter fires back under a 4. That misses. What a devastating attack that was. Everything hit, not a single casualty on the Japanese side. Just one thing to note is that submarines can't actually attack aircraft. Not that it mattered in this point. So we put the Japanese back in. So the 2 aircraft are on their aircraft carrier, and we are now poised to knock out the rest of the American Navy just above us. Alright, so we're going to the land battles. So we've got 4 Japanese attacking infantry and an aircraft, a fighter, against 2 British infantry and a fighter. We've got strength in numbers here for the Japanese. The British are better defenders overall, but let's just see what happens. I'm going to roll these together. So the 4 red dice are the infantry, the 1 white dice is the fighter. So that's 2 hits from the infantry and 1 hit from the fighter and 2 misses. So that's all of the British are destroyed. So the British will fire back, the 2 red dice being the infantry, the 1 white dice being the fighter. So 2 Japanese are killed as well. So 2 Japanese casualties, but all the British are taken out. That's good. That's not really something that the British can afford to lose over there. So India is worth 3 points. 3, and Britain comes down 3. So she's getting hammered economically. The 2 infantry can stay in there. The aircraft has to move somewhere, so it's going to move back to French Indo-Burma just to protect it against any possible attack from America. And the other attack we have is against Russia defending with 4, and hopefully I over-egg this pudding a little bit just to make sure that we capture the Soviet Far East. The overall plan for the Axis here really is to knock out Russia as quick as possible, hopefully in the first couple of turns, and then turn their attention to one of the others, possibly Britain. But as it stands, we're going to go with Russia first of all. So we have 3 Japanese infantry rolling on 1s. Nope. 3 a Japanese tank and 2 aircraft firing on 3s. Reroll that, it's cocked. No. And 1 Japanese bomber on a 4 or less. No. So the Russians fire back on 2 or less. It's pretty poor showing. They've hit 1. So the Japanese are going to lose 1 infantry. Pretty poor showing from the Russians as well there. So the Japanese again. Infantry and 1s. No. They're 3s. 1 hit. And they're 4. 1 hit. This is like the Russo-Japanese War of 1904 all over again. So the Russians fire back with 4 under 2s. 2 hits, so that's the 2 Japanese infantry. They're dead. And they've also lost theirs. So we now have 3 under 3s, 2 hits, that's enough, there's no point rolling anymore. The Russians roll 2 under 2s, so they've hit 1. Now, it's a bit of a dilemma because if the Japanese lose their tank, then they can't capture the land. So they're going to have to lose one of the more expensive fighters. But at least they've captured the Soviet Far East with their tank. So we put this down, so that's pretty good. Japan has now increased their IPC production by 5. There's another 2 there, and they've knocked Russia down and Britain down. The Japanese fighter will land back in Manchuria, and the bomber will also land there back in Manchuria as well to protect that. So that ends Japan's combat phase. There's nothing else they can do, so they just now place their units. They've only got 1 industrial complex, so everything has to go in Japan. They go in the Sea of Japan, and the tank goes next door to it. We check their industrial output. They're now on 30. Table 10, 20, 30. So that's pretty good. Good turn now for Japan. So now we come to the United States. They have 36, so they've got a massive industrial capacity. However, they certainly need to get moving quick into the game to be able to show that industrial strength, really. So we're looking in the Pacific, so I want to have 2 submarines. These cost 8 each, so that's 16. And I've got 20. I'm going to buy 2 tanks. 2 tanks, and then also 3 infantry as well. I know I've not really got the transport system to get these guys to go where they need, but that costs 9 because they're 3 each. But what I need to do is clear a spot, and then we can come and attack when we have the chance. So America has got 1 IPC left over. This is America's pieces. So America's combat turn. Now, it's a bit tricky because they're a little bit on the back foot here. I could go and attack the Japanese Navy and try and take some of them down. I could do that with a suicide mission with some of the aircraft. I think that's probably, at the moment, possibly the best thing to do just because of the difficulty. So we're going to take a bomber, 1, 2, 3. Then they can land in the Hawaiian Islands. We've also got a fighter here that can go 1, 2, 3, and that can land in Hawaii as well. Another fighter here will come in, so this is like almost the Battle of Midway, well, southern Midway, and I'll send in a transport because I'm going to hold on to that transport because I might need it in the future. I've got another transport here. I'm going to send this across to French East Africa, and attack into it is West Africa. Attack into West Africa there to try to knock the Germans out from that point. Now the big decision here is: do I wait for Japan to attack and capture China and Xiangqing, or do I be aggressive and try to take some of the Japanese lands? I think the best thing to do here would be to attack out into here. There's a good chance of winning against that aircraft, and it'll still leave me some ground forces at least in the east, and hopefully capture something. I know it seems a bit suicidal, but let's just see what happens. So we're starting here with French West Africa. America is attacking on 3 or less, the Germany is defending on a 2 or less. So the Americans, they can't retreat in this case because it's an amphibious attack, so they either fight or die. So that's a 6, they miss. The Germans miss, so attack misses, defender misses, the attacker hits and destroys, and the defender hits and destroys. So that just stays the same. It still stays under German control until somebody moves into it to take it back out. If America had captured this, it wouldn't come under American control, it would go back to British control. If America wins here in French Indochina, then this will fall under American control because it was currently controlled by Japan. So we start here, we've got 4 infantry and 1 fighter firing under the 3, so the infantry are 1s, no, and the fighter is also a no. So the Japanese fighter fires back on a 4, that hits 1, kills 1 American soldier. I'm going to continue fighting. They could retreat if they want to, but I'm going to continue fighting, see if we can get rid of it. Yes, the fighter has scored a 2 against the 3, so that destroys the Japanese fighter, which then fires back, and that doesn't destroy anything, so actually that's a pretty good result for America there. So they capture Indochina Burma, French Indochina Burma, so they get 3 points for that, 3 IPCs, knock the Japanese down to 27. So that was a pretty good move. The fighter will fly back to China and sit in there as a defence. And then this big sea battle. So we've got the Americans attacking on quite a lot here actually. But they are up against heavy Japanese defenders. So what have we got? We're attacking with 4 pieces against 5. Ideally, I'm not going to put any bets on this one, but I think the Americans may come off worse, but let's just see. So they're rolling 3s for their fighters. That's 2 hits straight up. The Japanese are going to lose their fighters because if they lose their carrier, then they'll also lose their fighters anyway. So 2 4s, 1 other hit. So now they will lose their carrier. So the Japanese fire back with their carrier on a 3. Nope. And then they fire back with 4 4s. Probably one of the best dice rolls you can get. 4 hits. Everything the Americans have is gone. Stupid? Maybe. Foolhardy? Maybe. But at least they've destroyed some of the Japanese Navy. The Japanese have still got these 2 powerful battleships sitting outside Hawaii though. That's not making for a happy America at the moment. There's not much else they could have done because they would have been attacked anyway, so we may as well get in there first really. So America's non-combat move, there's not a great deal we can do. I was hoping that the Hawaiian Islands would be clear so we could bring some infantry over there. So I'm just going to sit where I am at the moment, and they place their new units. So now they put their 2 new submarines there to attack the Japanese again, and some infantry in the east and some infantry in the west, and a tank in either of these spots. At least we've still got transports to move people about if, as and when. Now the Americans have got 1 left over, 1 IPC left over. They're taking 39, so I'm just going to swap that 1 for 40, and that ends America's turn. And that is the first turn over. So now the game moves back onto Russia. And here's Russia. Russia didn't gain anything, so they're still on their 24 IPCs. However, the situation looks a little desperate, so what they're going to do is basically spend 24 IPCs on 8 infantry. See if we've got them in here. Yeah, 5, 6, 7, 8. Infantry are 3 each. They defend on a 2. They're pretty cheap. They're pretty good for this kind of situation that we're in at the moment. However, let's have a little look at the map. Look at this. So we've got Japan threatening in the far east, and obviously Germany threatening in the west. First things first, I'm going to knock out this German navy down here in the, or attempt to knock out the German navy in the Baltic Sea. So hopefully that will work. We've also got, we could attack into Ukraine SSR, but then that would leave Germany able to produce units in Karelia. So this is a bit tricky really. How many has Germany got up there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 units in there. So if I could maybe get 11 units together to try to push them out. Or defend. I'm going to attack into the Ukraine. That looks like it's ripe for seizing. So if I go in with the tanks and the infantry and leave a couple of men in the Caucasus, and bring some more in there, and I will push these into the east, because I'm not too bothered about this, leaving Yakuts open, because the Japanese have only got aircraft there that they can actually get to it this next turn anyway, so I'm happy with that. So let's see what happens. So we're a bit of a gamble, but currently we're a bit desperate anyway. Let's just see what happens in the Ukraine. So we're attacking with aircraft and tanks, and how many is that? 5 infantry. Odds are they should be able to cause some damage, and they're attacking against 3 infantry. So let's have a go with that. So we've got 5 infantry and the 2 aircraft and tank. So that's 1 hit, 2 hits, 3 hits. So that's all they need. 3 hits there. Takes out the German infantry. So that's hot panzer divisions destroyed. They return fire. 1 hit. So the Russians lose 1 infantry. So that was a gamble worth paying off. So the Russians capture the Ukraine SSR. That gives them 3. 1, 2, 3. Knocks Germany down 3. 1. Hold on, 1. 1, 2, 3. So Germany's on 35 against Russia's 22. And they stay in there. The fighter will fly all the way back to Russia because it's a better defence. And I know Germany's probably going to attack into their next turn. I'm going to move 1 infantry into the Caucasus just to give them a little extra strength there. Oh, forgot that infantryman there. Get him in. So our next attack here is going to be as I said, the transports can't actually attack, so they're just cannon fodder. That's going to sit there and that's going to soak up hits for us. So the submarine fires first, misses, so the German submarine returns fire, it hits and it sinks the cannon fodder. So the submarine, Russian submarine attacks, hits the German one. Because it's a submarine, destroys it without Germany being able to fire back. So that's wiped out the German Navy up in the north. That's pretty good. And then finally, I'll just leave them on the board there. We've got the Japanese attack against the Japanese. So it's 4 ones, 1 hit. That's enough. The Japanese tank fires back on a 2 or less, and it misses. So although the Japanese captured that for 2 turns, it's back in Russian hands. So Russia is back to 24. They first place their units. Excuse me, we've only got Russia now that we can actually put units in, so they're going to. So there's a lot in there now. That's going to be a tough cookie to crack, that one, I think. They're going to get 24 IPCs back. So that's 24. That's for the Russians. That's their second turnover. So Germany. Well, we have 10, 20, 30, 41 to spend. We've also now got another place we can actually produce units in. I'm going to want tanks, so I'm going to take out 1 tank here and just put another one under there. So I'm going to spend 30 on 6 tanks. So that's there. The little red marker is denotes 5, so that's 6. I've got 11 left over. I'm really concentrating here, Germany, on destroying Russia. So that's cost them 9, so now they have 2 left over. Really need to knock Russia out of the war at this point, because otherwise we're going to have. I'm already getting pressure from the UK here in Africa. So the smaller attacks, we're going to attack the British shipping in the Med, and let's just top this up. Let's see what we can do here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I could get 8, 9 tanks into Russia against what? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, plus those, plus the aircraft. It's going to be risky, but I think Germany should do it because this could knock Russia out. So they're going to move these troops from Eastern Europe into Russia, all the rest into Russia as well. This is another huge attack on the east, sending the 2 aircraft. Again, you know, I've got open spaces, but these can be filled up later on by the infantry and the tanks that are coming out, so I'm not too worried about that. I've also got it's a bit difficult here in Africa now as to what to do, whether to attack here against Kenya, Rhodesia, and hold on here, because America's going to start pumping stuff in again next turn, I think. Or go on to the defensive. This is the issue Rommel had, I'm afraid. Odds are I probably wouldn't win against those. Well, I don't know, maybe I would. But then they're just going to keep pumping more men in there. So I'm going to go 1, 2 and try to knock out. I'm going to take Italian East Africa, again from the Brits, and then attack into Kenya, Rhodesia as well. And I think that's going to be it. That's Germany's turn. So let's see what happens with this. The battleship, 4 against a 2, hits and sinks the submarine. That fires back on a 2. That fires and misses. So that's knocked out British shipping in the Med. It's just what we wanted. And Kenya, Rhodesia, the tank attacks on a 3 or less. That hits and destroys the British fire. He fires back on a 2 or less. He destroys the German tank, as you would have expected. So poor old Germany's taken a hit there. Do apologise, I knocked the camera. Got it back in position now. So that's all the small attacks for Germany done. So the next thing we need to do now is this big one in Russia. Now, it's looking a little tricky for Germany, so let's hope this is going to be decisive. If we can get Russia knocked out of the game this early on, then it's going to be happy days. I think it's going to be a lot easier for both Germany and Japan from this point on. However, if Russia survives this one, this might be difficult for them to do much more. Germany's attacking with aircraft, so we're going to put these in. Well, there are 2 tanks there. So let's put these last ones in. Stand to its engine. And here. So we have the Russian air defence against the 2 German aircraft, first of all, on 1s. No. So that goes back into Russia. Does nothing more. The German 3 infantry attack on 1s. No hits. Not looking good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of the rest. So that's 3, 8, 9, 10, 11. These need 3 or less. This is looking a bit better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Got 7 hits on the Russians. 6 of them. 7. Ooh, that's pretty bad. So the Russians then take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 on 2 or less. 1, 2, 3 hits. So the Germans lose their infantry, and then 1 on 4 and a tank. This may have paid off for Germany. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 this time. So that's 9, 10 together. Sorry, that was 6, and then can't count. 1, 2, 5, 6, 7 hits. So that's all of those. 4, 5 all gone. So the Russians now fire back with 4 infantry and 1 aircraft in white. That's missed, but 3 infantry have hit. So 3 German tanks are destroyed, but so are all the Russians. Now what happens here, Germany captures Russia itself. So not only does Germany get the IPCs that Russia is worth, which is 8, so that's a fantastic boost to their economy. So that goes up to 40, 44. Now remember I said, you know, Germany and Japan will win if they get 84, so they're now currently on 60, 69, so they only need another 16 to win this. But because they've captured the home country of Russia, they also capture Russia's 24 IPCs that they held, and Russia can no longer produce anything until it captures that back. So that's fantastic. That has almost knocked Russia out of the game, given they've only got a small amount of armies left anyway. So that was a risk well worth taking, I think, from Germany. So it has to fly its 2 planes back. They will land back in Karelia. No, they will actually go back all the way back to Finland and Norway, back to their operating base. I'm going to put 2 units, hold on a second, non-combat movement for Germany. I'm going to move what are we going to do here? This is a hard decision. I don't want Britain attacking Germany here. I'm going to move 4 infantry into Eastern Europe. I'll put 2 in there keep those in Germany as they are and put the 6 tanks up in Karelia, so I can try to finish off the rest of the Russians in Russia itself. So Germany has got Russia's 24 IPCs. They also get their own 44 IPCs on top of that. 1, 2, 3, 40. 5 take out of 1. And let's just see how much they've actually got at the end of this turn. So they've got a whopping 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 65. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They've actually got 70. So I'm just going to swap that 70 IPCs for their next turn. So if they can survive, which I'm sure they will, they're going to be able to produce a lot of goods. So that was Germany's turn. We go over to the UK. And Britain has got 27 IPCs this turn. So with this we're going to buy 2 transports, start shipping units across into Europe. That's going to cost 16 because they're 8 each. It leaves 11. So I'll buy 2 infantry for 6, 1 tank for 5. Use up all their money. There's no point hanging on to it. So we're going to have to do some fighting here, I think. This is a tricky one. I'm going to attack into Egypt. There. We're going to attack from Syria, Iraq into Sudan, Egypt. Take that back. Reduce Germany by 2. And put us up by 2. You know what? Let's go for Norway, Finland. So jump those in. 1, 2. I'm going to use a tank attack with 2 aircraft and the battleship as well in support. I'm also going to attack East Indies with these guys. Let's start putting the pressure on. So 3 attacks by Britain straight up. I want to get rid of the German infantry here so I can start clearing out the rest of Africa and take some of that stuff back. So let's do this. We've got 2 attacking infantry, 1 attacking tank, 2 defending infantry. So 2 infantry are rolling on whites and the red for the tank. So 1 kill and that's a miss. So 1 German dead, and they return fire. 2 hits, 1 British dead. So again a 1 and a 3 for the attack, yep, and a defence on a 2, yes. So although they've lost their 2 infantry, Britain captured Libya. So that's Monty pushing his way around. So up 1, Germany down 1, and Norway and Finland attacking with tanks, attacking with aircraft, and because this is an amphibious assault, we're actually using the battleship to bombard and support the attack. Now it only gets 1 shot, and 1 shot only, and it misses, and then it goes back onto the seaplane. Because it's an amphibious attack, the 2 tanks can't retreat, so they have to fight to the death. But they need 3 or less, 3 hits. That's it. Destroyed the 2 German fighters there. We'll fire back on 4s. I'm going to take 1 tank and 1 fighter. So that means that Britain actually captures Norway, Finland. Battle of Telemark. And then flies back to Britain itself. So they capture 1, 2 worth. again dropping Germany down another 2. So we're doing okay, not great, but not terrible. So we've got an attack here in the East Indies. So 2 1s. There's a good chance they'll win this, the Brits. Nope. And a return fire on a 2. Yes, 1 dead. Maybe not. Spoke too soon. So a 1, no. And a 2, nope. A 1, a 2, a 1 on the attack, a 2 on the defence. I can't retreat. A 1 to attack, 2 on the defence. A 1 on the attack, 2 defence. 1 attack, 2 defence. 1 attack, 2 defence. Ah, there we go, finally. So the Brits were destroyed in the East Indies. Unfortunately, I thought that might pay off. And that's Britain's turn over. So Britain then gets 28 IPCs. 28. And places their new units. So 2 more infantry here in the UK itself. Along with the transport, so we can get more men across as soon as we need to. So then that goes over to Japan's turn. Let's see where we're at with Japan. They've got 30, which is pretty good. Pretty good what they need, so they're going to need some transports now. Still quite a threat in the east from America. So I'm going to pay for 1 transport. That leaves them 22, so I get 2 tanks for that, for 10, and also 4 infantry for 12. So a little spending spree there for Japan. Let's see what we can do here. Right, the tough one. We're going to have to get rid of as much of the American Navy as possible. Oops, knocking everybody everywhere. So that's the plan. Can't move into the East Indies because of the British transport. I can't attack with this transport, but I'm going to go 1, 2 and pick up the guy in Borneo Celebes. I will then, I'm going to attack into French Indo-Burma using aircraft and infantry. Try to get the Americans out of there. And let's go picking. I'm going to attack into the Soviet Far East using a tank and 2 infantry. Yeah, it's a bit of a gamble, that one. But if we can wipe out as many of the Soviets in that back end as possible, it removes that threat completely for future turns. The same with the Americans down here. In fact, I'm going to actually send a bomber up there to hopefully finish that job. Looking a bit thin now, aren't we? Right, so let's start with the Americans. Let's kick their butts out of here. So we've got, sorry, I'm putting these on the wrong one. So 4 attackers, 1 fighter against 3 infantry. This should work. Probably heavy casualties, but I think it'll work. So we've got the 4 in white are the 1s, and the red is 3. So 1 hit. So the Americans fire back. 1 hit. So we're down to 3 1s and 1 3. No hits. Americans fire back. 2 hits. Oh, let's continue because it might still work. A 1 under 3. Yes. 2 under 2s. 1 hit. In this case I will lose the infantry because I've got some more to come. Tricky one. So under a 3, yes. Under a 2, no. So we destroyed the Americans in French Indochina, but they can't actually do anything now because they can't capture it. So I'm going to fly back to Kwantung with those and sit them there with the fighter. So although I did say it was going to be heavy casualties, and it certainly was, let's keep the pressure up on the Americans here. 2 battleships, submarines and transport. I'm putting them on the wrong one again. The submarines can withdraw after a round of firing, but let's see what happens. So 2 4s, 1 hit, so that sinks that. So the transport fires on a 1, the 2 submarines on 2s, nope. So the 2 4s, 1 hit, destroys it, and they fire back, 1 sunk. And the Americans have got the option to withdraw again if they want to. No, they may as well fight because the Japanese will just come after them anyway. So under a 4, no. Under a 2, no. Under a 4, yes. Under a 2, no. So that's the American Navy sunk. Pound for pound, I think the Japanese would have won that, really. So here we are again with full attack in the north. Hopefully, if we can, again, this is not so much about capturing the land, it's more about destroying enemy units, really. So there's a good chance this is going to win because we've got the 2 on 1, nope, a 1 and a 3, yes, and 1 and a 4 for the Japanese, so that's 2 destroyed. Soviets fire back on 2s, they destroy 3. So we'll take out the 2 infantry and, oh goodness, what to do, lose the bomber. So a 3, no, 2 under 2s, destroyed the Japanese. So that didn't go as planned, but it certainly reduced the Russian numbers in the east. Again, kind of the plan. So non-combat movements for the Japanese, there isn't really any they can do, so we just place our new units. But we've got so many troops here that I can just start shipping them into the east next turn, kind of controlling the Pacific at this point. So that's going pretty well. So the Japanese are now pulling in 25. So that's the Japanese, 25. And we then turn to America. America on their previous turn were on 39. I apologise, I think I've forgotten to give America their money. There you are, there's America's money, 39. And, oh, this is going to be tough. Right. I'm going to buy some fighters to try to get rid of these Japanese aircraft carriers. So I'm going to buy 2. They're 12 each. They're expensive, but they're needed. So that's the American fighters, and then we've got 15 left over, which they will spend on 1 transport, that leaves them 7, and 2 infantry, leaving them 1. So America is still maintaining quite a lot of money here, but what can we do? Very little, in fact. All the units the Americans have are American units are basically trapped on islands or on their homeland. So literally the only thing we can really do with America is move that transport back. That's America's turn. So I'm going to put the 2 fighters in the east, putting the infantry in here as they sit and wait, and also the transport can go in there as well. So that's America's turn. They're pulling in 39. They've got 1 left over, so I'll swap the 1 and give them 40. So that's the end of turn 2. So turn 3, things are looking a little bit unbalanced. We've got a lot of British and American units ready to pounce. Germany and Japan are looking slightly thinner, but certainly Soviet Russia has taken a heavy knock. So over to Russia. They can't actually do any buying because they've got no money and their capital is under control by the Germans. So all they can really do is their combat moves. And in this case, all they can do here is try to get back Russia. However, they can also attack into Manchuria, which they will do. They'll capture Manchuria for what it's worth. Well, 3. That's what it's worth. They should be on 19 actually. And Japan down 3. So yeah, this is really all they can do. This is a bit of a desperate gamble on their part. Let's see what happens. It may or may not work. We've got a great deal, but Germany's only got 6 tanks in there as well. Mind you, if they lose here, I think they're going to go splat, to be honest. So they've got basically 4 attacking units. They have 3 infantry and 1 tank against 5 German tanks. So the infantry score nothing, the tank hits 1. The German tanks, they score 1 hit, 1 hit wonders. So 1 for 1 at the moment. You never know, this could go Russia's way. So 2 infantry on 1s and a tank, no. 4 tanks on 2s, 2 hits. I don't think this is going to go Russia's way, is it? Russia are going to withdraw on that, back to the Caucasus, lick their wounds. But again, because their capital is under control, they basically they don't get any money. So we go over to Germany. Now Germany has a wealth of money this time. We've got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 to spend. Proper spendulics. We've got to get rid of this British Navy, really. That's quite a threat. But if I can continue to hold the land, that's also going to be helpful. So let's get a couple of transports. Let's send men down to Africa. 1, 2, and they were 16, so that gives 4 change. Let's see, let's get 10 infantry. That'll cost 30. 10 infantry. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. We can then spread those across where we need to, and we've got now 24 left over, so let's get 2 fighters to try and shoot the crap out of the British Navy. So that was a pretty good spend. It's a bit of a defensive turn, this one. Well, I say that, let's see what happens. So, can't do anything in Africa because everything's been destroyed. However, can do a lot in Russia. So let's attack into there. Let's grab some territory. 2, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Russia loses 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's put these tanks down up there, up in the north. 2 blocks. Send 3 into Norway and Finland. Swapping those over. Let's send all of those into there, with those tanks into there to try to wipe out the last of the Germans there. We'll hold on with the battleship there, and let's just have a reorganisation. Let's see what happens. Right, let's start with Norway and Finland. We've got 3 tanks on 3 or less, 1 hit. British fires back on 2 or less, 1 hit. So 1 of each. That's the Brits knocked out of Norway and Finland. Germans lose 1, so Germany back up 2, Britain down 2, Germany up 2. Let's go over into the Caucasus, 3 against 1 again. So 3 tanks under 3, no hits. 1 tank under 2, no hits. 3 tanks under 3, 1 hit. 1 tank under 2, 1 hit. So 1 of each, but that was pretty good going there for Germany. So they capture Caucasus as well. So they were on 45, they're now on to 48. Put an extra thing on the bottom there to show where they are. And they're down 3. So now they've got, let's do this one on the board, shall we? They're defending on 4, attacking on 1, attacking on 3. So we've got 4 infantry for the Germans in red and 3 tanks in white. So no infantry hits, but 2 hits from the tanks. So the Russians fire back with 4 on the 2s. No hits. So they lose 2 there. So the Germans are the same again. So no hits from the infantry and no hits from the tanks this time. So the Russians on 2s. Nope. The Germans again. Last pockets of resistance. 1 hit, 2 hits. So that's 2 Russians destroyed. And the 2 Russians fire back on 2s. 2 hits. That was pretty poor for the Russians there. So they're down 3 again. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 for the Germans. They captured the Ukraine SSR back. So Germany is now in control of Russia. There are three pieces of Russia left. They've got the submarine and the 2 infantry out in the east. I don't think they're going to last much longer though. So that's Germany's turnover. Just check non-combat movement for Germany. I'm going to send a load of men into there. And let's put an extra one in, just to be sure. So now we start to place our new units. Get them here, there and everywhere. Blimey, Germany's a bit packed. I'll put one extra in Southern Europe. And 2 fighters up in Germany. And the 2 transports in Southern Europe. So now Germany is collecting 51 IPCs this turn. So that's 51 for Germany. Wow. Okay, so now we move on over to the UK. They're on 27, 28, I apologise. What have we got for Britain? What can they do? Right, they're currently running all over Africa, snatching that up. That's their plan this turn. And hopefully try to get back to India to take that back as well. So let's just see what we can do. We need, what do we need? We need navy and tanks really, I think. So a couple of tanks because we want to start invading Europe at some point. I think that might be the plan. So that's 4 tanks, that's going to cost 20, and 1 transport. So 28, that's Britain spent up. So Britain's combat moves. They'll go 1, 2, take Germany's Africa territories back. Knocks Germany down 2 and knocks Britain back up 2. They will also take Italian East Africa. So back up, back down. And 1, 2, they'll move this transport out. One of these things, 1, 2, move it out there instead. Get a bit closer. And let's go for it. Let's go for D-Day. So 2 tanks. 1, 2. 4 infantry and the aircraft. We've got to try to stop Germany at this point. So we've got a battleship bombardment as well. So here we go, we're attacking into Europe. With the aircraft and the tanks, this should be a reasonable result for Britain. And if so, that's going to be quite a smack for Germany as well, because Western Europe's worth 6, so it's quite a lot of IPCs. Let's just see what happens. So first things first, the anti-aircraft fire against the British fighter, a 1, that misses, so that goes back in Western Europe. The British battleship fires on a 4, that hits, and that destroys 1 German, which can't fire back, because that would have been fired before the men landed. So now we have 4 on 1s, the infantry, and the fighter and the tanks are on 3s, and there's 3 of those. So the 1s do nothing, the 3s do nothing. The Germans return fire on 2s. So that's 1 hit. Ooh. So far so poor. So the British infantry, 1, nope, under 3s, 2 hits. That's more like it. The Germans fire back. One hit. They lose 2. And British attack, 2 ones, 3 under 3s, 1 hit. Germany fires back. Yay! But Britain has won. Hooray! The Normandy landings were successful. So 6 points for Britain, 6 down for Germany, 3. There, and the British fighter will fly back to the UK. So that's good, that's captured them. Don't think they're going to hold it very long because there's a massive amount of German infantry in Germany itself, but let's just see what happens. You never know, stranger things have happened. So that's Britain's turnover, so they collect 35 IPCs, they place their new units. They can now start piling pressure on Germany at least, if nothing else. Britain's turn's over, so now we go over to Japan, who have 25 IPCs. What do we need here? Well, the American Navy is pretty much gone. I need transports, so I'm going to buy 1 transport, leaving 17 left over. Let's buy 2 tanks, 2 infantry. So that's 16 for Japan. So we have let's see what happens. We've got to get rid of those Russians there. We've also got to capture some of this land here. So I'm going to go in our turn. 1, 2, take Australia off the Brits, cost them 2, cost us up 2. Landing in Darwin, and we'll take the man from New Guinea with us as we passed. Bring these transports here. One of them didn't move, 1, 2. We'll take 2 infantry down there and take that back off America. 1, 2, 3, Japan, 1, 2, 3. So they've now got I'll send in the aircraft and 2 tanks on those transports. And that's as much as I can do with Japan, I think, at this point. So the 1 attack against the Russians, 2 under 3s, 3 under 3s, the aircraft and the fighter and the tanks. All that's cocked. 3 hits, 2 Russians fire back under 2s. 1 hit. So Japan loses 1 tank. Russia loses its 2 last remaining infantry units. Still in the game though. 1, 2, 3. Japan. 1, 2, 3. And fly back into Kwantung. Hold it. And that's all Japan can do. So we're going to place our new unit there. New infantry in there, and the tanks in here. So that's Japan done. They collect 30 IPCs this turn. 1, 2, 3, so that's all theirs. And then we go over to America. So a quick count of where we're at. Japan and Germany are currently on 72 between them, so they need another 12 to claim an economic victory. Probably could be done in the next couple of turns, but let's see if the remaining allies can stop this. So America has got 40 IPCs this turn. Still need transports, still need to get rid of the Japanese Navy. So let's get some transports out. So that's 16, 24. That leaves them 16. And let's be aggressive. Let's get lots of Navy. So 2 submarines for another 16. So what can we do? Right, well, let's attack Manchuria and try and destroy that Japanese tank at least. Let's attack the Japanese naval power. Let's shore up Western Europe. And help against the possible German attack that may come. And I think that's all we can do at the moment. So the attack in Manchuria, fighter is a 3, it hits, the tank is a 2, it misses. So although that's destroyed, America doesn't capture the land, he has to fly back to China to land, because fighters can't capture territory. The 2 aircraft against the Japanese battleship, 1 hit, destroys it, it fires back, destroys one of theirs. So that was worth doing. Let's get rid of the Japanese threat there at least. And then that's all America can do. So we can now start putting transports in the space where the Japanese Navy were. Let's put a couple of these in as well. And same over there. So now America is ready to strike. It's taken a while, but they're there. So now America is on 36. So 3. 36. And that ends turn 3. So turn 4 starts with the Soviet Union. They really are battered at this point. The only thing they've got is their submarine down here in the I forget the name, the Baltic Sea. So I'm going to move this out into the protection of the UK Navy there, and that ends their turn. They've still got 6 IPCs if they could ever collect them, but I'm sure they'll soon disappear by the end of this turn. So then we jump over to Germany. So let's have a look again at Germany. 10, 20, 30, 40. They've got 51 now. They've also got a massive threat coming in here on the west. So I'm going to look at possibly taking out the British Navy at some point, getting Western Europe back. So let's first off buy 5 tanks. That's 25. That leaves them 26. Buy up their 3 infantry there. That's another 9. And that leaves them 17. So they're going to get, let's go with a couple of submarines to see if they can attack the naval powers. So that's their buying. Leaves them 1 left over. Let's see what we can do here. Well, unfortunately, probably not a great deal right now. We can certainly capture some of the Russian territories. So I'll send him off to Blitz. 2 and 4. You never know, we may get an economic victory out of this. One, 2, 4. Pushes down to 2 now. and send one of the other tanks to Nevetia. Never been able to pronounce that place. Eventki Natl Ogrug. So that's Germany now on 47. Let's see where we're at. 47 and 30, so they're currently on 77. And over in the west, what can we do? Well, we can start to capture some of these territories back from the UK, so let's go and get Libya. Knock the UK down, Germany back up. That was using that transport. This transport will drop off this chap here in Algeria, because once a transport drops off somebody, they can't move again. Now there's a big threat here to Germany itself, so what I'm going to try to do is probably bolster up the defences in there by moving these guys in. Oh, wait a minute. First of all, unfortunately I can't get to the American Navy out here. Well, I can by sending out the battleship. Let's do that. Got 2 fighters in Germany. 1, 2, 3, 4. They would die if they went into attack there. They could go and attack the British shipping here, which they would lose, but they would get rid of some of the transports, I think, at least. They would pretty quickly get shot down, I'm thinking, that attack. But at least they will get rid of some British stuff. Well, let's just have a... Yeah, let's throw them in, because waiting is not going to be very helpful, I don't think. So let's attack into there with those. As I say, we bolster up the defence of Germany itself. Move him in. Move these into the southern Europe. 1, 2, move those in there. Let's put another infantry into Finland, Norway, just so we can at least hold these places a little longer. I don't think anybody's going to be attacking Germany anytime soon. And let's see what that does for us. I think that's at the moment that's probably the best we can do. We've got to stay aggressive with Germany, really. So let's start with the battleship attacking the American fleet. Under a 4, sinks 1. They fire back, they need 1s. Nope. So second attack, battleship attacks, misses. The transport fires back, misses. Attack, misses. Defence, misses. The attack hits and sinks. Defence, sinks. So that's the pride of the German Navy gone to the bottom of the fleet in the Battle of the Atlantic. That was unfortunate for Germany anyway. So let's see, we've got 3 good for the US. Let's see what we got here. I don't think these are going to survive a round in this attack, but they might at least take out a couple of British ships. Now, Britain could always sacrifice their submarines here. So let's see, 2 attacks on 3s, 2 hits. Well, we'll take the yes, we'll take the 2 submarines from Britain. They can't fire back anyway. So the 4 transports hit nothing. The British battleship also hits nothing. Oh, this could swing things for Germany. Let's just see what happens here. So the 2 aircraft fire, both miss. The transports fire, all miss. the battleship hits one, as expected. So the German attack again, destroys one transport. It should have done a lot better than this. It fires back and that's destroyed. So they basically sunk one transport and the two ships of the two submarines, sorry, of Russia and Britain. So that's not looking too happy for Germany right now. So that's the end of their turn. They've already done their non-combat movement really anyway, so I'm just going to place new units. Let's put extra units here and here, put some more in Southern Europe ready to attack. More tanks in there. Put some more infantry up in Germany and another tank as well. And also put the two submarines in there to harry the British Navy some more next turn, if of course they survive. Germany's now on 49. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's really pulling in the money here. There you go, 49 for Germany. And we flip over to the UK, who has 35 this time. Again, we have a difficult position here with Britain. What to do, really? Is it going to be a case of more infantry to try to pile in, to try to knock Germany out? I think that's probably the best thing to do at the moment. So let's get 10 infantry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 1 tank. And Britain's combat moves. Well, we can attack into Algeria. We can actually take India back from Japan. Let's do that because that's worth 3 points, quite a lot. That's stopping the Axis getting their economic victory. So yeah, we've lost Australia though for the UK, and I suppose we could attack the German Navy and try to get rid of these submarines before they start doing any damage. I think that's probably the best we can do at the moment, Britain. So here, 3 for the tank, 2 for the defence, 3 for the tank, 2 for the defence, 3 for the tank, 2 for the defence. So Algeria falls. And up here we have the 3 for the aircraft, 4 for the battlefield ship. Both of those miss. The submarines can fire back, but they can only hit the battleship, and they do, and they sink it. Britain continues its attack under a 3. No, the 2 submarines disappear, so the British aircraft has to fly back. Well, that was a pretty poor showing for the British Navy, wasn't it? So that's Britain's turn finished. They're still on 35 IPC, so that's not too bad. 2, 3, 4, 5. They might want to start thinking about building something in the east that they can actually get some units into. Let's just see if they can build an industrial complex in the east, so at least they can start to fan out from there a bit. Let's just see what happens in the next couple of turns. And their tank. A lot of troops in there now. So we go over to Japan. See where we're at with Japan. 32 IPCs this turn. Now again, American Navy is getting very threatening over there, so let's build a few submarines. That's 24 worth. A lot cheaper than the battleships, and pretty effective as well. And that leaves them 8, so we'll buy an infantry and a tank. That's of each. So let's see where we're at with these, the Japanese now. Well, first of all we'll capture New Zealand. That puts them up by 1. Britain by down. Let's go into Indo-Burma with the fighter there. And we're going to risk an attack on Alaska. For a simple reason, to put the willies up America and also gain those 2 extra points. And let's pick up some Japanese soldiers, 1, 2 from Okinawa, because they're just sitting around idly doing nothing, so let's get them out doing something. So we've currently got 1 attack in India, 1 attack in Alaska. Let's see what happens with this. So we've got the 1 defender here, 2 attackers on 1, and the aircraft. So the 2 Japanese infantry and the aircraft in red. They miss, he misses, British defence fires back, and that misses. So same again, looking for 1s and 3, no. Under a 2, no. This could be a while. Talk amongst yourselves. So the 2 hits there from both the aircraft and the infantry. Infantry returns fire, and the British infantry misses. So Japan takes India again. 1, 2, 3, reducing Britain down to 31. Still an American plane over there. So we go over to Alaska. Let's count these. So again, Japan can't actually retreat here. So this is a suicide mission. They either fight or die. So the 2 1s, 1 hit, destroyed. Returns fire, under a 2, no. Japan is on the American mainland. So they captured Alaska, gives them 2 points. Two IPCs extra, 1, 2. Dropping America to 34. There's panic in the streets of California. And that ends Japan's turn. So we now place our new units. I'll get these submarines out to America and just see if they can smash up the American Navy. Speaking of America, Japan takes 33 IPCs. Let's just have a little quick look at the current score. So between them, Germany and Japan now have 78, 81 IPCs. So they're very close to an economic victory. But not quite just yet. However, it's America's turn. 2, 10, 20, 30, 36. And again, they're going to need to replenish their transports so they can get transports out, especially out to the west over there. So it's going to cost them 16. And let's go with 4 tanks. Start doing some island hopping, hopefully in the east. Right, we've now got this big threat in Alaska. So what we can do is we can move the tank in, move the transports in here with these subs, carrying those men, take the aircraft up there as well. We'll talk about that in a second. We've also got a tank, 1, 2, which will drop into Algeria to help protect African gains. So now we've got this attack up here with Japan into Alaska, but you'll notice we've also got a naval attack as well. So this has to be done first. We have to go through the navy attack before we can do the land attack. And if any of these transports are lost, the men that are on them are also lost. And there's 3 infantry units on those transports. So let's just see what happens with that. So we have the 2 submarines attacking first. 1 hits and sinks. That means that can't fire back anyway because it's hit by a submarine. So the 2 transports return fire. 1 hits and sinks. So it's going to have to be one of the American submarines, otherwise they're going to be losing men. So the submarine fires and misses. The 2 transports fire back. They miss. The sub fires, misses. The transports miss. Sub fires, hits and sinks 1. So only 1 transport fires back, misses. Submarine again, misses. Transport returns fire, it hits. Now I'm going to have to lose an American transport and also 1 man who is on that transport. So we fire again, submarine, misses. Transport fires back and misses. The sub fires and misses. Transport returns fire, misses. Submarine again, fires and misses. Transport hits and sinks. So we're going to have to lose the second transport with the 2 men in it. Submarine misses. Transport misses. Submarine misses. Transport misses. Talk amongst yourselves. Submarine misses. Transport misses. Submarine misses. Transport misses. Submarine hits and sinks. If only could have done that before. So unfortunately for the Americans, this means they now only have an attack of 2 pieces against 4. So this is probably not going to go their way. But let's just see what happens. So we've got 2 under 3. The Americans 1 hit. The Japanese have got 4 under 2. No miss, no hits. So 2 under 3. This might work. 1 hit. So 3 under 2. 2 hits. So Japan retains control of Alaska. Fortunately for America. Not great. Not great there, America. And America's non-combat turn, very little they can do. They've only really got that aircraft in China. Very, very thin at the moment, America. Very, very few troops on the ground. Let's change that. Get these ready to kick off in the east and west. So now we've got transports that can come back and forth. So America is gaining 34 this turn. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's America's IPCs for this turn. And that ends turn 4. Turn 5, sorry. Russia out of the game completely. Got no more territory left, got no more units left, so we just move straight on. Over to Germany. Now, you can see that big threat in the west. Might be worthwhile Germany trying to kick them out of there. So let's have a go at that. 2, 10, 20, 30, 40, 5, 49 IPCs. Again, let's get ready to bolster up Germany by buying 10 infantry. That's 10 right there. So that leaves them 19 left over. We can then also buy, let's go for a bomber. Well, no, that seems frivolous. Let's not go for a bomber. Let's get 2 submarines and 1 extra infantry. So that's 2 subs and an infantry. That's 19 in total. So 1 more infantry. We can put these infantry all over the place. Okay, we've got the big threat in Western Europe. We don't like that. There's quite a lot we can do here. So I'm going to first of all send the subs in here to start attacking the British shipping. Let's get rid of them. Let's jump into Libya, bringing a tank across. Use this transport here to go 1, 2. Bring another tank in as well. Drop in there. So there's 2 tanks and 2 infantry in there. That should be a reasonably easy fight. We also have these tanks here, so let's go 1, 2, start taking territory out in the east while we're twiddling our thumbs. This is American territory finally, and 1, 2, let's attack into China as well. Okay, we've got, what we're going to do is throw everything into Western Europe to try to kick the Brits out and the Americans. But so what I'll do is I'll do the smaller attacks first, and then we'll go into that one because I'm not going to move them all to move them back again. So we're starting with this. Here we've got the 2 tanks are fighting on 3. They can't retreat. Rare to do retreat anyway. So 1's for the infantry, no. Under 3's for the tanks. 2 hit, 2 destroyed. They fire back under 2's. 2 hit, 2 destroyed. So 2 of each. And Germany takes Algeria back. So Britain's down 1, Germany is up 1. We've also got this attack in the North Sea by the wolf packs. So they've got 4 defending boats against 2 U-boats. Alarm! So under 2's, no hits. So 4 fire back. We need 1's, 2 hits. So the wolf packs have been destroyed. That was very surprising. Well, let's see what happens with this. Oh, with attack into China. Don't think Germany's going to do very well here, but you never know, might destroy the American Air Force at least. So under a 3, no. Under a 4 returns, yes. That was worth a try, just to see what would happen. But now we've got the big attack here in the west, and this is going to be a bit of a messy one, I think. Let's see what happens. We're going to throw in a lot of German tanks. Southern Europe. We'll also throw in that one from there. Let's put in a lot of cannon fodder. This is the Hitler Youth at this point. At least retain 2 in Germany. We'll actually just move those in there while I've got the space to move them out. So that's all defended. Also got the tank and the infantry up there as well in Germany. So let's chuck those in as well because we've still got 11 to come anyway. So here we go with this one. Blimey, this is a big one. Let's have a look. We've got 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 German infantry firing on ones. 12 dice there. 1, 2, 3, 4. But we're not even going to need the tanks. So that's 4 dead. They'll take it from the Americans because they can afford it. And then tanks, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They only need 3 hits here. So under 3s, oh, they've only got 1. So they'll take a British infantry. So the Brits live to fight another day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 dice return fire. Under 2s, 1 hit. So that's... I'd be very surprised if they survive this one. So what have we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 this time. That's all the dice bar 1. These need 1s. 1 hit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Again, should have remembered. Under 3s, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's way more than they need. 2 British fire back on 2s. 1 hit. So another German is killed. Very successful attack that. I don't think Britain really has the naval power to get anybody across now. Well, let's see. 6 and 6, so that drops Britain down to 24. Germany all the way up to, what's that, 57. Very successful. Keep throwing these about. So that's all them in there. Running out of room. There we go, and there and there. Let's just swap some of these into chits. So that's 4 infantry there. These are very useful situations like this, and 4 tanks as well. So that's a hell of a lot of German tanks and infantry in there now. Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to be cracking that nut anytime soon. So, Germany places her U units. The submarine's back in there, so we can do some more damage hopefully in the coming turns. Let's put a large number of the infantry in there and protect the north up here with even more infantry. Well, Germany's currently riding high, so Germany now takes 57 IPCs just for their turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 57. So let's quickly count this up. Germany's on 57, Japan is on 33. Added together, that's 90. So the Allies need to remove at least 6 of their IPC control places. Can they do it? Let's find out. Britain. They're on 35. Really very little Britain can do here, but we'll certainly try. They're not going to attack Europe again because that is just going to be massively costly. So, but let's go for, let's get at least 1 transport out. Don't really have much to defend these transports, unfortunately. Let's get 3 infantry and 18 left over. Let's go with 2 submarines to defend the transports at least, should they go on to another turn. So we are Britain, right, we've got quite a lot to do here. Let's have a little look. So let's start moving this transport around so we can get some troops somewhere. Right, send the aircraft over to Finland, Norway, and use the transport to send 4 infantry in as well. That's going to free me up with 2 transports. Who will come down, 1 here and unload a tank and 2 infantry into Algeria to see if we can capture that back at least. So that will help the Americans a little bit by reducing, hopefully giving them more chance of capturing more land. Let's just see what happens. I think in this turn the Allies are certainly fighting for their lives. So we've got British attacking with an aircraft against tanks and infantry. So this is up in Norway. They've not been able to hold on to Norway really, have they? So we've got red for the infantry, white for the fighter. So 2 hits. So that's a tank and an infantry. Germans return fire. No hits. So the British, they might win this one. No hits. So the 1 tank, no hits. British again, no hits. God, that's not very good. Under a 2, no hits. No hits again. The tank, the Brits, they've hit and destroyed the German tank. German tank fires back and misses. So they actually capture Finland and Norway. Brings Britain down, Germany down 2, Britain up 2. Let's put their marker on. So we know we captured it. The aircraft goes back. And then in North Africa, 2 German defending tanks, 2 attacking infantry. They're kind of there really for cannon fodder. Infantry in red, tank in white. 1 hit on the 1. The 2 German tanks fire back under 2s, 2 hits. So that's, oh dear, 2 Brits are knocked out. So the British tank under a 3, yes. The German tank fires back, no. So the German tank is destroyed. The Brits capture Algeria again. So that's knocked them down by 3 points. So that was Britain's turn. So Britain places her new units. More infantry in Britain itself. Fortunately, they kind of split up their navy a little bit here. Let's just see. And they get 27 IPCs. 20 plus the 2 they already had, so 29. Reasonably healthy. Japan comes back in. Well, what can Japan do? Quite a lot, it seems. We're going to need more transports because we lost a lot last turn, so I'm going to buy 3 transports for 24. Don't really need many more soldiers at the moment. So that's 24. Leaving them 9. Let's get another submarine, nice and cheap. and hard hitting. So that's Japan, one left over. And transports and submarines. And let's see what we can do. Well, 1, 2, let's go for Hawaii. Pick up 1, 2, and push those in as well. Let's get up there and sink what remains of the American Navy. Get out there and threaten the remains of those American Navy. Don't have a great deal. Can either take Persia or attack into China. Yeah, let's attack China and take Persia at the same time. So Persia gives us 1. The Japanese influence really is spreading. We've got the 2 in Alaska, so let's push those into Western Canada. This is really a points grab at this point for the Axis. The more they can get, the more chance they're going to have of winning economically. So let's start. We'll start with China. Attack and defence. Don't think this is going to go very well for Japan, but let's just see. Under a 3, no. Under a 4, yes. The American Air Force really is holding out in China. They've certainly got their Weetabix. So we've got 2 submarines attacking. They attack on 2s. Again, if submarines hit, they sink and they can't fire back. Yes, hits and sinks the American Navy. Glug glug all the way to the bottom of the sea. That's half of it gone. Western Canada. British defending. Attackers here. 2 attacks under 3. Destroyed him, and the British fire back. No. It's a 6. So Canada is also under Japanese, or half of Canada is under Japanese rule now. 34. Britain's down to 25. So it's going to make it even harder for America to actually gain any points back. So let's see. So we've got 4 attacking, 1 defending. Again, amphibious assault. The Japanese are not going to be able to retreat here. So they need 1s. Not a single 1. And a return fire hits 1 and kills 1. May not go so well for Japan, but let's see. They only need to destroy this guy. 3 3s, not needed. Under. Wow, this is definitely, they are holding on here, tenacious. 2 5s, no. Under a 2, yes. And 1 1, no. Under a 2, nope. A 1, under 2. So America have held on at Hawaii. Obviously the lure of the hula girls. So that's all Japan can do. Well, I say all Japan can do. That was a reasonably good turn. So this turn they will place their new units. Their new transports. And then they collect themselves 35 points. I'll take a pause here. 1, 2, 3, 35 IPC, sorry. So that gives them 36 with the 1 that they had. So let's have a little pause and just see where we're at. So Germany and Japan between them, 70, 80, that's 70, 80. They're now currently on 89. So America here has to get rid of, capture 5 worth of land back off both Germany and Japan in order to move the game into another turn. Otherwise it's going to be a Japanese and German economic victory. Well, let's see what they can do. I'm not really holding out much hope, but we can see what they can do. They might be able to take back things like Western Canada and a bit stuck in the Pacific really. I don't know if they can actually do this. But let's see, 10, 20, 30, they're on 34. Let's get 2 more subs, 3 subs. So that's 24. Then 10 will pay for 2 tanks. and let's see what we can do here. Well, this is the most obvious attack that has to happen. Fortunately, I can't go and pick up those infantry on Midway or Hawaii because they're surrounded by Japanese Navy. We've got transports here that can't really do a great deal. Can ship this one to ship them out to West Africa at least. Came there, move this one back. Let's use the Air Force to attack the Germans there at least. I'm not going to be able to capture that land, so let's see what happens on this. We've got an American attack from the Air Force. 3 or above, 3 or below, sorry. That's a hit and a kill. Returns fire on a 2 or less. Destroyed. Wow, that is the man of the match. That American Air Force in China. Unfortunately, they can't capture it, so they have to land back in China. And the final battle here in Western Canada is 3 tanks under 3, 1 hit, 2 return fire under 2, 1 hit. Oh, this might go to the wire, so let's see what happens with the second round. 2 tanks under 3, 1 hit, oh no, returns fire and takes another one out. The Japanese defence there was very good. Japan loses Western Canada, loses them 1 point, puts Britain back up 1 point, and America is back in Canada. And that ends the turn. America then places her newly purchased units and over there as well. Collects her IPCs, 32 this turn, and a quick tot up. Germany is currently on 54, Japan is on 34, so at the end of the turn, Japan and Germany are the economic victors. So in a couple of hours, that is how you play Axis and Allies, the second edition. As you can see, it's a reasonably balanced game. If Britain, if the Allies are able to knock out at least one of the Axis very early on, then the game swings definitely for them. However, you have to be very aggressive as an Axis player, as I was in this one, and then you can hopefully knock out Russia. That's usually your best chance, and once that's gone, you can then concentrate on either Britain or America. In the past, I would have probably played on until either both America or Britain was actually captured, but that would just turn into a attritional slogging match at this point, given the amount of pieces that are currently on the board. And I didn't want this video to go on for about 3 years. It's long enough as it is. Well, thanks for watching. If you've got any comments, please leave them below, and also please subscribe and give this video a share to anybody you think might like it. Thank you very much.